Welcome to Fireside Knicks. My name is Alex, your co-host for today. My man, Brett Hanfley. I know he has some words to jump off right off the bat. Brett, let me know what you're thinking.
I'm doing good. Why? Was there a Knick game last night? Did they blow a 28-point lead to the crosstown rivals, Brooklyn? I must have missed it. No, it's tough time in Knickland. But Alex, you have a lot of experience covering the Knicks and the Giants. You have a lot of experience being angry and pissed off. So I'm going to kick it back to you. Give me your general thoughts on what is happening with the Knicks.
Numb. I'm just freaking numb, man. The New York sports landscape has been a graveyard for too long. I can't handle this type of depression year after year from sports teams in this area. Like the Giants, covering them alone gives me enough freaking anxiety. I can't go to sleep at night. Then watching the Knicks blow 28-point leads. The only consistent thing the Knicks have done this year is blow leads. That's the only thing they've done well. Is blow leads.
Consistency something.
I mean, I'm just getting really fed up with a couple portions of this team. One of them being Tom Thibodeau. The guy is, I don't know what he's doing, but sending Miles McBride back to Westchester when they desperately need point guards is malpractice. Calling a second review, a second challenge against Oklahoma City and wasting a timeout, malpractice. He's making decisions that are directly impacting the success of this team, and it's really starting to get on my nerves. The player combinations, Obi Toppin's only getting 15 minutes. He played 11 minutes last night. It's getting ridiculous. Emmanuel Quickly has been inconsistent this year. They're not using him correctly. Alec Burks is not a point guard. Where are we going with this team? What is going on here, Brett? I'm really getting pissed off because we thought we had something here to grow and develop, but it seems like we're kind of taking steps backward, and it seems like there's many different factors playing a part in this.
Yeah, so, 3 20-plus point blown losses in the last 11 games. I haven't seen anyone say that's never been done before, but I think there's a chance. It's embarrassing. We've been bad for 20 years. We had a good season last year. We were the 4th seed. We get knocked down in the first round. We won one game. That happens. You go into the offseason, you say, all right, we took a step, and you build on the momentum. The Knicks started off 5-1, I think, this year. You think we're just gonna, some teams just incrementally get better. It's hard to, become a championship team overnight. So we think we're headed in that direction, and then the brakes just start to fall off. Julius Randle, obviously is way worse than last season. Tibbs has not had a good season. There's no way around it. He's mismanaged players. He's mismanaged minutes. Like you said, the challenge. Trying to do a second challenge is inexcusable. It's embarrassing. And, it's not just about this season, the playoffs. It's about building that culture. It's about, getting out of that realm of being an embarrassment. It's about attracting free agents. It's about turning the ship. And we thought we were there. And I still feel okay about our general future. We still have, RJ Barrett's taking a step this year. Quentin Grimes has looked awesome. That's probably the biggest plus so far from this season. But we're going into the All-Star break, not where anyone thought we would be. We're 3.5 games, not out of the 8 seed, out of the 10 seed. So, I don't know. I don't even know what you asked me because I'm just like, my thoughts are everywhere. I'm pissed off. I thought we would have a really fun season. When we started podcasting this season, we said, this is going to be fun. I'm excited for this. Hey, it's not that fun.
It's not fun at all. And my question
for
you,
I'm smiling, but that doesn't mean
it's a nervous smile. We're kind of in this nervous smile state. And look, I don't want to put all of the blame on Tom Thibodeau. He deserves a good portion of it, but let's not absolve the front office here. They have been implicated, and they are not even bystanders. They are directly involved in the crime. If you watch the Ozark season 4, she's basically Wendy just yelling at people. They're just going crazy right now. And here's some stuff that I wrote about this morning. Okay. Mark Berman reported, and the whole Mark Berman, Mitchell Robinson thing is hilarious. He reported that Robinson could easily walk after the season ends. In fact, he has a couple of good options to go to. One of them being the Chicago Bulls. They were interested in Mitch Robinson at the deadline, along with the Detroit Pistons. Why would Mitch Robinson say, I want to stay here with the Knicks, who continue to beat themselves? I need to change the scenery. He can go to the Bulls, join a team with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, some phenomenal players, and really elevate that squad and be a playoff contender. Why stay with the Knicks? What's the point of staying with the Knicks? There is no point. That is like one of the things that's making me think, why wouldn't they just trade him at the deadline? You know what I mean? Why not get some assets, include him in a more lucrative deal? That's something that as that I've been thinking about and thinking, they just completely whiffed at the deadline, which is inexcusable for a team that needed to unload a couple of big contracts, striking out so poorly in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, listen, free agency, front office obviously bears blame. Part of the issue, though, I think, is it might be this disconnect between the front office and Tibbs. Tom Thibodeau is a guy that loves to win, is a guy that doesn't have the word tank. And listen, I'm not saying the Knicks have to tank, but he doesn't have the word not, he tries to win every single game, even to the point where he plays his starters late into the fourth quarter when they're down double digits, a la, which game was that, where RJ Barrett turned his ankle and he's out. Yeah, the front office didn't do anything on the deadline for a team that is stuck in the middle, that could have, picked up some assets, could have cleared some space for some younger players to play, like Cam Reddish, maybe Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, maybe Deuce McBride. So it's this 360 of blame, which is kind of frustrating that you can't even pinpoint it. It is the front office. It is Tom Thibodeau. It is Julius Randle. And it is the rest of the players also. There's a couple players who are playing well, but it's the whole thing. And at some point that makes it more frustrating that I can't just say it's all Tibbs. It's all Julius Randle. Julius Randle's played pretty good the last 7 games. It doesn't make up for the whole season, but he's been good. The Knicks have lost. But so, what do you think about that idea that it's just this 360, blame for pretty much the whole organization?
Everybody is implicated. Everybody has played a part in the murdering of this team and the burying of it in the poppy fields. It's no one is left. Like, and the thing is, Ian Begley of SNY reported this morning that confidence is dwindling, is diminishing for head coach Tom Thibodeau. And I'm like, who exactly is making the decision that he needs to be gone? Because from my perspective, the front office is also a big part of why this team is struggling right now. They're really up there trying to blame Tom Thibodeau when they are equally as important in the demise of this team. You know what I mean? The free agent strategy was abysmal. It was abysmal. The fact they didn't get anything done at the deadline is abysmal. Now, Tom Thibodeau absolutely has a part in this. I'm not saying he doesn't. But the thing is, like, everybody needs a fair share of the criticism right now because it's head to toe. It's a shit show.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I'm going to say you're letting Tibbs off a little bit. The Knicks were up 28 last night. They were up 20 plus versus the Lakers. They're up 20 plus versus Portland. Mm-hmm. He went. Emmanuel Quickly had one of his best games in months last night. I think he was 7 of 9, hit 3 or 4 threes. And Tibbs went to Alec Burks in the crunch time, and he was 1 of 5. And he's been going to Burks all season. Burks has been fine. He hasn't been terrible, like some of their fans think. He hasn't been great, like Tibbs thinks. That's a quick X's and O's that just didn't make sense. He's stuck with Kemba Walker. He went away from Kemba Walker too early, and now he's sticking with him too long. I know he didn't play that much last night. I'm happy that he sort of got out of his stubbornness by playing Quentin Grimes because he's been easily one of our best two-way players the last few weeks. Plays defense, shoots the ball really nicely. But yeah, that just I think you're letting Tibbs off a little too easily. The front office didn't make any moves, but you can't blow these leads and expect to be a good team. You got to hold on to leads.
By no means am I trying to say that Tom Thibodeau is not a part. It plays a part in the demise of this team because he is the head coach, right? He's the one that has to speak when they blow 28-point leads, and he did speak, and he was like, "We lack toughness to close it out." And the reality is, like, Julius Randle's a shell of himself this year. He's still playing decent basketball the last couple of days. He's recently, not playing bad. He's playing well lately. The problem is they don't have any defense, right? They built an identity last year on being an elite defensive team, and they completely took a 180 and went the other direction. Why? Why did they go out and replace Reggie Bullock, a good defender, with Evan Fournier? Why did they go and while Alfred Payton needed to go, and we all agreed that
now you're
I'm saying now it's like, damn, like
now
Alfred
you're
Payton
just
could have been
angry.
useful. Now I'm angry, but here's the thing. We could have went out and said, okay, we can get good defenders that produce more offensively, right? Instead, they went completely offense and disregarded defense, which is exactly against Tom Thibodeau's mantra. You know what I mean? I don't get, there has to be some sort of disconnect here between the front office and Thibodeau, because their entire strategy, like in hindsight, it's easy to say, but it's also what in hindsight you're able to really look at what those moves look like and why they were wrong. And we're not the professionals, you know, they're the ones that are supposed to get it right. They're the ones being paid millions of dollars to make the right decisions. And they made the wrong decisions. And why? Because they went away from their identity, which was elite defense. Julius Randle, they were flowing through. And by the way, one of the, and you said it before, the biggest thing that got me off the Tom Thibodeau train was when he played RJ Barrett in that blowout and he got that ankle injury. That was
I've been saying it since the beginning of the season. I've been saying it since the beginning of the season, and there's Tom Thibodeau defenders who say he was coach of the year last year. Just because he's coach of the year does not mean that he is in the right by playing his starters when they're down 20 points late in the fourth quarter. He's been doing this since the beginning of the season. Sorry, go.
No, you're 100% right. Look, it was a blowout game. There was no reason for RJ Barrett to be in that game. No reason at all. And now he's out, and now we're struggling because we don't have that second scorer. And he's a good defender for that matter too. Now, I am a huge Quentin Grimes fan. Huge fan of his. He's one of the only players on that team, him and Barrett, I think, and maybe Quickly, that I'd go and get their jersey. You know what I mean? Quentin Grimes is going to be a stud in this league. And mainly because, and let me ask you a question. Why is Quentin Grimes going to be a stud in this league?
Because he plays good defense. He shoots the ball.
He is in line with the identity of what the Knicks built last year. Great defense. And then they completely ignored it in free agency, right? Quentin Grimes is starting already. He's starting on this team. He should be starting over Evan Fournier. But they can't do that because Evan Fournier is being paid too much money, right? They got to save something.
I mean, in their credit, Grimes did get up to like 35 minutes last night, somewhere around there.
Only because RJ's out, though.
That's true. But you know, I've said this a couple times. I don't think the starter matters as much. I want Grimes getting starter minutes. But yeah,
for sure.
I said defense first, but his shot is beautiful. It's quick. He's confident. Also, we've seen a little bit more of that, you know, of the playmaker type. And I think, you know, he'll hang his hat on defense and threes. And then as he gets more comfortable in this league, he might have that also extra playmaking ability, which is a great pick at 25. But Alex, so we're going into the All-Star break. We're 3.5 games out of the 10th seed. What's the rest of the season for? What are we thinking? Are we, you know, listen, this is a shitty, I think it's a shitty draft class. I'm not paying attention to college basketball as much this year as I normally do. You know, there's an outside shot the Knicks go on a run and sneak into a 10 seed, and then they have to win 2 games just to get into the playoffs. So what's the rest of the season for?
Look,
is it playing the young players? Is it, you know,
there's three things, right? There's three avenues the Knicks can take. They've already put themselves in a corner because they didn't make any big deadline moves that could help inject more talent to this team. Cam Reddish is not the difference maker that we needed. He never was. Thibodeau does not use small forwards with the specific team. He has in the past, but he doesn't use small forwards very often. Cam Reddish gets fourth quarter minutes, garbage time minutes. That's what he's been getting, unless there's injuries. But
I would say Cam, like he needs somewhere on a shitty team, worse than the Knicks, on a team maybe that's tanking, that they say go work it out, go jack up shots, and maybe you get it going. He's not someone in 10, 12 minutes is going to sort of like turn the corner.
Cam Reddish will not be on this team next year. I'd put my money on it. Cam Reddish will not be on this team next year. Why? Because they were trying to trade him at the deadline. The problem is because of the CBA rules, you cannot trade a player that you just acquired in a multiplayer deal. It has to be a 1-for-1 deal.
I don't get that, but yeah.
It's just how the rules work, right? Yeah. But ultimately, they couldn't trade him 1-for-1. You know, he just didn't have as much value as they needed to get a bigger player. So with that being said, you know, when you're looking at Cam Reddish next offseason, when you can put him in a bigger deal, that's where you look to maximize on his value. And I think that's how they will end up using him. They'll try to get him to a different team. They'll do whatever it is. They should have never traded for him in the first place. It was a freaking waste of a first round pick. Absolute waste. But here's what I think this team goes from now. Since we didn't make any deadline moves, they committed to this team. They committed to the roster, which means that they're going to roll the rest of the season with it. There are three things that are going to have impacts on this team. If they make it to the postseason, it's because Derrick Rose comes back and he goes on an absolute tear. The guy just had ankle surgery. I am not expecting that to happen.
There's only 23 games left. Let's just talk about this. There's 23 games left. They're down 3.5. Tough. They realistically have to go, right? Am I right about 23 games? I believe so.
I believe.
It's less than you think. The All-Star break used to be about half the season. It's not anymore. I'm just looking this up while we're talking. The Knicks are 25-34. It means they played 59 games. There's 23 games left. They realistically, to catch the Hawks, have to go, what did I say, 23? 16-7 maybe, something like that. They have a tough schedule, and they're not playing well. So, yeah, like you said, there's an outside chance, but I want to sort of emphasize it's really an outside chance at this point.
A very outside chance.
Yeah.
Very outside, because this team is losing to bad teams, man. Oklahoma City, Brooklyn, literally like done. Mitchell Robinson fouls out. Andre Drummond has 20 rebounds. It was a shit show, man. Like, look, this team is basically their entire idea was let's wait until Derrick Rose comes back. You know, I love Derrick Rose, but he's not the superstar that's going to drag them like Kevin Durant would into a playoff contention. You know what I mean? He's not that good anymore.
No, but just a few more wins, we would be in contention.
Who cares, though? This team is not getting past the first round.
I agree with that. You know? I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this team, even if they make the postseason, they're not going to get out of the play-in tournament. This team is better off losing, right? They're better off losing, getting a lottery pick, and trying to entice a superstar to come here and they're going to try and offload those big contracts to Fournier, Walker, Mitchell Robinson is as good as gone. Nerlens Noel. You know, maybe they try and keep Mitch and they get rid of Noel and those guys, Alec Burks. They'll try to unload these contracts. A lottery pick may be enticing enough to say we can get a young, great player in here, and a superstar might say like that. That's enticing enough to me. But it's not an attractive destination anymore. The Knicks went from being really hot. They should have cashed in. They should have cashed in when they had the chance because they should have. You know, they were a hot team for a minute. Players wanted to come here and they didn't do what needed to be done to get a big player, and it's devastating.
See, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, I think I'm not for a tank. At this point, you know, a top 5 pick could change a franchise. Pick 7 through 15 could, but likely is not. So I want the Knicks to stay competitive, to not be a joke of the league because of what you just said. We need to keep attracting talent. We need to keep the momentum going. If the Knicks finish strong 23 games, let's say they go 15 and 12, what am I doing? 15-8. You know, we might forget about this middle of the season. We're not going to say the season was a big success, but we might forget about this disastrous part. So then we go in the offseason with some momentum, with some cultural momentum. Maybe the front office isn't a joke. Because we're not getting a top 5 pick. That's the truth. And I don't even think it's a great draft. So I hope we can, you know, be a credible NBA franchise the rest of the season. That's my hope. While playing the young players, while getting better. I hope we can do all that. Maybe it's a pipe dream.
I mean, no, it's not a pipe dream though, right? We've seen it. Like some of these guys are taking steps forward. You know, Quickly is a good player. He was really sought after. A lot of teams wanted him at the deadline, but ultimately the Knicks decided to keep him. Quentin Grimes is going to be a great player. I'm really confident in that.
RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett, another guy, he's looked phenomenal this year at times. He had to start the new year. The guy was an absolute tank. The problem is they needed somebody to complement Julius Randle. They put too much stock in RJ Barrett to become this superstar. Julius Randle is a second-tier star, right? He's not a first-tier. He's not Damian Lillard. He's not Chris Paul. He's not LeBron James. He is a second-tier star.
Definitely not LeBron James.
I'm definitely not. I mean, but look at the Nets. Look at the Nets, right? Even Kevin Durant and James Harden were having problems together, right? And they're legit first-tier stars. You need multiple stars on a team to win a championship. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, even they're struggling together. And Russell Westbrook, for goodness sake. You can't win with one second-tier star on a team. It's not possible in the NBA. Teams are too freaking good, you know? The Knicks, I mean, look, the Miami Heat winning it all a couple years ago, that was a product of the pandemic and being in the arena, and they just kind of blew up out of nowhere. But The Knicks need another star to complement Julius Randle, and until they get that guy, look, if the Knicks had a premium star, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, those three guys could win a championship. Yeah. They could win a championship. I'm confident in that. And Quentin Grimes is another a key component piece. Quickly, Toppin, good bench players. The issue is Julius Randle cannot be relied on. He's inconsistent. I like the guy. I think he's a good player, but I don't think that he is the star that everyone or he even thinks he is. So until we get that guy to complement him, this team is going to keep hitting rock bottom and turning over people.
All right. So going into the All-Star break, we'll pick this up after the break. Hopefully, maybe we'll have Obi Toppin slam dunk contest to ease the pain a little bit, contest champion. But we'll be back after the break.
Absolutely. We will. We'll take a look, see what's going on, try to evaluate things. There's not much left.
We play the Heat that first game next Friday.
The next couple of games are tough. We have the Clippers. We have Philly back-to-back. The Heat. We have the Suns. Phoenix. Yep. It's gonna be a freaking bloodbath. And if we lose those games, just call it a wrap. The season's over. Yeah. I mean, someone's getting fired. I think someone's getting fired if this happens. There's some people are leaving. West Worldwide. I don't know. Someone's leaving. On their own accord. But look, if you're a Knicks fan, we only want this team to be great. We're being critical because they've given us no choice. We want them to be really great. I very much enjoy speaking positively about the teams that I love rather than negatively, but I'm so used to talking negatively. I'm always ready to blow up at this point. I'm over it. I don't want to go through this anymore, believe me. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fireside Knicks with your hosts, Alex and Brett, as always. We'll catch you guys after the All-Star break. Enjoy. Hopefully Obi Toppin can walk away with a couple nice dunks there. Should be exciting. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a fantastic rest of your week.